I'm Karen Allen. Welcome back. Day 3 on Buttons the Bear Whispers. We're on Chapter 3, The Whisper Game. And this is a episode of Karen's Corner. So let's dive into it. The next morning dawned gray and still, with a low fog curling against the windows like it didn't want to let go. Maggie poured herself a cup of coffee and glanced at the clock. 6:42 a.m. Too early for a Saturday, but she hadn't slept well, not with feeling she had standing in Freddie's room. She tried to shake it off. It was probably just her nerves, the stress of juggling so much at once. Between work, the kids, scraping together enough to cover rent, her mind didn't always know when to shut off. But even so, she kept thinking about that closet door and that bear. That bear. She reached for her phone and opened the camera roll. She'd snapped a picture of Freddie with Buttons yesterday, mostly because he'd been so excited. She found the photo and stared at it. Freddie was grinning wide, holding the bear up beside his face like a prize. But the bear, something about its button eye, looked too sharp, like it wasn't looking at the camera, like it was watching her. She set the phone down and sipped her coffee. Maybe she needed more sleep. Upstairs, Freddie was wide awake. He sat cross-legged on the floor of his room, Buttons perched in front of him. Chloe wondered, and still rubbing her sleep from her eyes and dragging her blankie behind her. "Are you playing?" she asked. Freddie nodded. "We're whispering." "Like a secret?" Freddie smiled. "Buttons tells good secrets. Want to hear one?" Chloe crawled closer. "Okay." Freddie leaned in close to the bear's fuzzy ear, then nodded solemnly. He said, "Your unicorn nightlight doesn't like him." Chloe blinked. "Why?" "He says it makes the shadows run away, and he needs them to stay." Chloe looked over her shoulder like the shadows might be listening. Then she turned back. "Is Buttons mean?" "No," Freddie said. "He just doesn't like loud lights or closets or the clown." Chloe frowned. "What clown?" Freddie pointed to the hallway. "The one in the mirror by the stairs." Chloe tilted her head. "There's no clown in the mirror." Freddie's eyes stayed serious. "There is now." By mid-morning, Maggie had managed to wrangle both kids into clothes and convince them to go with her to the farmer's market. Fresh air and sunlight, normal things. She hoped it would clear her head. The kids argued in the back seat. Chloe wanted to bring her blankie. Freddie insisted Buttons had to come too. "No," Maggie said firmly. "Buttons stays home. He's had enough adventure for one weekend." Freddie pouted, but didn't argue. He buckled his seatbelt and looked out the window. Chloe tugged on Maggie's sleeve. "Freddie's mad." Maggie started the engine. "He'll be fine once he smells kettle corn." But as she backed out of the driveway, she glanced up at the rear-view mirror and froze. In the upstairs bedroom window, just for a flicker of a second, she thought she saw something move. Not Freddie, not Chloe, something else. She blinked, heart racing, and looked again. Nothing. When they returned a few hours later, bags of vegetables and jam jars in hand, Maggie unlocked the front door and pushed it open with her shoulder. The house was quiet, too quiet. The air felt colder, even though the sun was warm outside. "All right," Maggie said, shaking off the chill. "Go put your shoes away." The kids raced towards the stairs. Then Freddie stopped up at the bottom step. Maggie saw his shoulders stiffen. "Freddie?" He turned to her slowly. "Buttons moved." Maggie frowned. "What do you mean?" "He wasn't on the bed anymore," Freddie said. "He's sitting in the rocking chair." Chloe peeked around the banister, her eyes wide. "He was watching the window," she whispered. Maggie marched up the stairs 2 steps at a time, and there he was. Buttons sat upright in the old wooden rocking chair in Freddie's room, facing the window, legs dangling, ribbons slightly off kilter. She hadn't put him there. Freddie hadn't put him there. The door had been locked. No one else had a key. Maggie's stomach twisted. She picked up the bear slowly. Its fur was warmer than it should have been. Too warm. Who moved him? She asked. No one answered, but from somewhere deep inside the room, a soft creak echoed behind her. The closet. That's all for chapter 3. The next is chapter 4 tomorrow. It's called Found Footsteps. Thanks for listening and watching. See you tomorrow.